She saw that Rudolph possessed a decent-sized cheese wang. The two big furred orbs behind it.
No fucking way!
Hello everybody, Multibon Media here with a special guest.
I'm Hibbibi and I'm here to read some stuff.
We're going to welcome you guys into the season, into this wonderful holiday season with Rudolph and Zoey's Christmas Morning Passion. Now you may remember that we have read this once before. If you've kind of dug deeper into our stuff, you might be aware of Vogon Poetry. We read it there, and the recording sucked balls.
Yeah, we did it like, I don't know, a few years ago. It's been a while. I didn't actually read it. I just listened to him read it to me over Skype, and so we're going to reread it. Yeah. And I think that's a good idea.
We're reading this from the inside of my car, by the way. My freezing fucking car. It's so cold out here.
We have blankets. I'm sitting here in slippers and sweats and like a pullover coat.
Alright, so this is Rudolph and Zoey's Christmas Morning Passion by Seattle Raccoon. So this person could be close to us. They might, like, even get a hold of us. The Link X Navi guy tried to get a hold of me, but I tried to get a hold of him back, but nothing yet. Apparently he's in the area, though. Anyway, rated M, English Romance and Friendship. I don't remember the friendship part, but I definitely remember the dough.
Wait. It says, published December 27, 2014?
Yeah. Oh, shit! It was, like, published the year after we made the video, I think.
Or, yeah, published, or just, like, you read it a year after?
I read it a year after.
Yeah, okay.
So, author's note. This takes place after the movie, and they're talking about the 90s.
Like the stop motion?
No, not the stop motion. Definitely not the stop motion, but the 90s one. Positive. It doesn't work. We thought about that. We thought about that, and I didn't realize there was like a 90s Rudolph until afterward.
Never seen it. Okay.
This is rated M for a reason, and that's me quoting the author's note still. Do you want to start off?
I'll start, and we'll just do paragraph to paragraph.
Yeah.
Okay. The celebration of the successful flight for the 9 flyers was underway. The dining hall was full of eggnog.
Hey, hold on. That's not the dining hall. I think you should read back over that.
The dining hall? The dining hall, I'm sorry. The dining hall was full of eggnog, Jack Daniels eggnog, candy canes, and a large buffet of the usual breakfast choices.
Hey, it's me, Jimmy Buffet. Well, oh fuck, I don't even remember any Jimmy Buffett songs even senior. Not even the most popular one. Rudolph quickly snarfed a piece of toast with butter and gulped down a small glass of plain eggnog and headed toward the doors. He noticed 6 out of the 8 other flyers were already smashed out of their skulls from the Jack Daniels eggnog, including his father, Blitzen. He was getting blitzed!
The red-nosed rookie flyer then picked up his backpack and saw he still had his family portrait and Zoey's lucky gold heart pendant. He then walked out of the dining hall and down the hallway
that's still the dining hall, dude. I didn't forget.
Oh shit, it is still the dining hall, okay. He then walked out of the dining hall and down the hallway and towards the main doors of Santa's headquarters.
Once outside, Rudolph breathed in the Christmas morning air and enjoyed the scenery of the village and the mountains.
Hey Rudy, where you off to? He heard behind him.
Rudolph turned around and saw a fellow flyer, Prancer, with a concerned look on his face, both of their medals of valor shining from the morning-toned sun.
I'll have to go see somebody, the rookie flyer replied.
It's your dope friend Zoey, isn't it? He accused with a smirk.
Rudolph blushed and his nose glowed in embarrassment, causing Prancer to chuckle. Okay, I'm not gonna lie, I first read that as causing Cancer to chuckle. Alright, but causing Prancer to chuckle.
Oh, young Padawan Buck. I was the exact same way back then. I was around your age when my wife and I were Buck friend and Doe friend. And we were best friends at school before that, Prancer explained.
You were?
Yep.
Well, she's not my Doe friend.
She's not my Doe friend!
I mean, we did confess our feelings last night.
Oh, I think you two already are, even though no one said it is official yet. Then before you know it, you'll be down and dirty with each other, Prancer chuckled.
That comment caused Rudolph to blush harder and make his nose glow brighter at the idea of getting down and dirty with Zoey.
Does that mean that every time Rudolph's nose glowed in the
he gets
movie,
like erect?
Yeah, he's just got a fucking boner.
Oh no!
Santa's jerking him off to fucking keep his nose bright.
Oh fuck! He's the
These are the worst headlights ever!
Oh god, no, it's like a breathalyzer, but instead he has to blow onto his cock. And then
Talking about sex had always made Rudolph embarrassed and uncomfortable as he grew up, and he didn't look beyond the fantasy of Zoey as his doe friend and being the receiver of her affectionate heart.
Prancer then saw his wife walk around the corner and up to her husband.
Aren't you going to enjoy your flyer party, dear? Miss Prancer asked.
How can I when I'm married to such a beautiful and smart doe who is more fun than any kind of party? Prancer replied with a smile.
Miss Prancer smiled happily and just adored her loving husband.
Take care, Rudolph. It was cool chatting with you, Prancer said.
Thanks, Prancer, Rudolph replied.
Sure thing.
Prancer then walked down the steps with his wife on the way home.
Rudolph saw them give each other a few pecks and saw... Pecks, Mrs. Prancer and Mrs. Pecker. Mrs. Prancer...
So what? It's us. We're the Peckers. Don't make fun of my wife.
Mrs. Prancer...
I can assure you that she does not have a penis.
Oh, fuck. Alright, saw Mrs. Prancer nibbling on her husband's ear and snaking a hoof between her legs and actually fondling his junk before they turned around at the corner of Santa's headquarters, leaving Rudolph kind of stunned with his mouth open.
The red-nosed reindeer shook his head to refocus and walked down the steps and walked down the main road to Zoey's house.
I don't remember any of that.
That's because I was the one reading through it.
What was I doing when you were reading? I don't know. Oh,
You're playing Mega Man 3.
Oh, shit. I don't know. I'd have to re-listen. The young buck made it to Zoey's house and walked up to the front door. After a few knocks, he heard footsteps coming.
The door opened and Rudolph caught a glimpse of the happy smile
The
happy smile upon Zoey's face before he was bear-hugged by the doe of his life.
Rudolph wanted to say something, but he just closed his eyes and smiled as Zoey began to nuzzle the side of his neck, which felt heavenly.
The red-nosed buck never felt happier in his life right now. Being the hero of Christmas, becoming a flyer and awarded the Medal of Valor, finally getting respect for most of the village, and was now getting affection from the doe of his dreams.
After about a minute, Rudolph finally decided to speak.
It's great to see you, Zoey.
The doe then let go of him and smiled.
It's great to see you too, Rudolph. She replied, causing him to smile too.
The duo just went into a locking romance stare.
This is the stare. This is what the stare sounds like. Zoey was lost into the sight of Rudolph's powerful coffee brown eyes. She could also see his exhaustion from the flight he just led.
She then began to admire his physique. He possessed broad shoulders with some muscle beneath his fur, with the sign of agility and speed as his strength, and had somewhat scruffy light brown hair, and she always adored his unique red nose.
Rudolph was lost in the sight of the other. Zoey's eyes just sparkled like smoky quartz, and possessed a hot body with slender legs and arms coated with brown velvet fur. That could be a lot of drawings that I've seen on the internet.
He's so handsome, so brave, so kind-hearted, caring, and sweet.
She's so beautiful, smart, caring, daring, and hot.
Rudolph suddenly felt turned on as he continued to admire her and felt a tingly feeling between his legs.
I got a tingly feeling between my legs. The buck knew what was happening and began to frantically brainstorm of what to do as he felt his member poke out of the sheath.
No, don't do that! Wait, where are we?
it's
Oh, fuck.
Going in and out. Just to tell you guys what I was doing there.
The red-nosed reindeer never had sex before or even fantasized himself doing Zoey whenever he relieved himself, since she was his best friend and was embarrassed to think of her that way.
Rudolph fought to suppress his sexual urge and succeeded, and felt the feeling fade away and his member returned back in his sheath. That was all word for word, so any fuck-ups actually were not me this time. He suddenly remembered her lucky pendant.
Oh, Zoey, here's your lucky pendant you lent me. I'm sorry I didn't return it to you sooner, Rudolph said, with a guilt tone as he dropped his backpack into the snow and picked up her necklace. God, it's fucking cold in here! Up her necklace from the left pouch with his mouth.
It's okay, Rudolph. Don't worry about it. It's not like you lost it, Zoey replied as she lowered her head, allowing Rudolph to slip over her head and to her neck.
As her head pointed to the ground, she took a glance up and blushed to herself at what she saw.
She saw that Rudolph possessed a decent-sized sheath's wang, the two big furred orbs behind it.
No fucking way!
Yeah.
Whoa!
I actually fucking did it.
You serious?
Yep.
Where the fuck are we? She then realized what she was doing and pointed her eyes back to the ground without Rudolph noticing.
Zoey then raised her back to eye level with Rudolph after her necklace rested around her neck.
Rudolph finally decided to ask her.
Zoey, you're my best friend, and you're the smartest, most beautiful, and kind-hearted doe in the world. Would you like us to be buck friend and doe friend? Rudolph asked.
Would you like us to see... never mind. I was gonna be like, would you like us to be buck friend? Anyways, Zoey felt her heart melt and had some tears brewing up in happiness.
Oh, Rudolph, I would love to be your doe friend, she replied as her eyes watered.
Rudolph suddenly leaned in and kissed her on the lips and closed his eyes.
Zoey's eyes widened for only a second before closing them as well.
Rudolph was lost in absolute bliss, as was Zoey, as the new official couple then began to make out with a passion.
Rudolph suddenly felt his mind filled back up in an overdrive speed with lustful intentions, and his members sprang out of his sheath. So, his members sprang out of his sheath and rise all the way up to attention. Zoey hadn't noticed.
Feeling bold, the red-nosed buck slipped his tongue in her mouth and began wrestling hers.
Oh, brother, I'm Rudolph's tongue. Bring it on, brother. I don't know any other wrestlers other than Hulk Hogan, and then what's the other guy's name?
Oh, you tongue-a-maniacs! Got it!
Tongue-a-maniacs! Zoey slightly felt overwhelmed, but matched the passion and increased it as she placed a hoof around Rudolph's neck and pulled him into the house and onto the pile of hay-shaped couch close by.
Her buck friend landed on top of her, and his erect member slammed on top of her stomach. Oh, shit!
Zoey's eyes opened nearly and popped out of their sockets, and she stopped and froze.
Rudolph realized what he did and got off of her, sat down and turned away with shame as he closed his legs.
Oh, I'm so sorry, Zoey, I offended you. I shouldn't have done that. Rudolph apologized and buried his face in his hooves as he felt himself go flaccid. So, does that mean that it didn't go back into the sheath?
Oh,
It's just like, it stopped where it wasn't. Yeah.
Gross. Rudolph, turn around and look at me, Zoey said in a sweet tone.
Rudolph did what she said. Zoey rose up and scooted closer to him till she was 6 inches away. You know what I'm saying? That's the average penis size.
You didn't offend me or do anything wrong, Rudolph. I was just a little taken back is all, she assured him with a smile and massaged his shoulder.
You haven't done it with Arrow? Rudolph asked.
No, we haven't done anything more than kissing, she replied.
But if you want to continue, Rudolph, you are more than welcome to, Zoey offered.
Rudolph's ears perked up as he heard the doe of his dream just offered her body to him.
Oh, I got distracted. I thought that person knew me or something and turned around and was going to say hello. Hey, what you reading there, guy? What's that? Are you sure, Zoey? I don't want to take advantage of you or do anything bad to you, the buck replied.
Zoey just stood up, smiled, and gave him a peck on the lips.
I'm sure, Rudolph, she replied as she grabbed his hoof and pulled him up.
Come on! My parents won't be home till tonight, she assured him as she began to lead him to her room.
Inside the doe's room stood a small table with a mirror and makeup kit and jewelry box next to a small closet. On the other side of her loom laid a pile of hay for a bed by the window and a lavender-colored digital clock next to it.
Once inside, Zoey locked the door and closed the blinds. She then turned around and gave Rudolph a seductive look as he stood in front of her bed with a blank face.
Zoey then looked down between his legs and saw that he had a full erection, which caused her to bring a hoof up to her mouth and let out a girlish giggle. Like, okay, so one thing that kind of leaves me confused is the fact that it causes that to happen. Like,
She's like,
yeah, like it just happened. Like when you see an erect penis, do you just like, this is just like a knee-jerk reaction to actually do something about it?
oh God.
Well, maybe I got nothing.
Alright. He's so sensitive getting aroused just by giving him a look, she thought to herself.
A new wild side began to overrun into Zoe's mind. She began to picture the idea of pleasuring him and feel him inside her as they take the steps to become sexual partners.
Rudolph chuckled as well.
You're quite sensitive, my big buck friend, Zoe replied in a throaty voice. You're quite sensitive, my big buck friend.
No! Rudolph blushed, but didn't hide himself this time.
Well, you did cause it after all, my hot dough friend, Rudolph replied with a smile as he began feeling his confidence returning.
You really think I'm hot? Zoe asked, all flattered, causing Rudolph to nod.
You are the hottest dough on the planet, sweeter than a candy cane covered in sugar.
Zoe chuckled and stepped closer to the aroused, red-nosed buck.
Well, you are the sexiest buck on earth with a unique red nose and a valorous heart of a knight.
Rudolph blushed and his nose began to glow as he pressed it against Zoe's.
He's getting turned on.
Yeah, red nose.
The doe then connected lips with him and resumed making out.
The duo landed against the wall and didn't break their lips apart.
Zoe then broke the kiss a minute later and began sliding down his body until she was face to groin with Rudolph.
Her eyes transfixed on his member and caused him to gasp as she inhaled her breath on him.
Oh, she exhaled.
Oh, exhaled. Oh, yeah, you're right, that's different.
Zoe giggled at this reaction and placed her right hoof on the base of Rudolph's shaft.
Oh my gosh, Zoe!
Are you enjoying this? She asked in a sly tone.
It feels absolutely amazing, he replied as he drew his head back and began to pant.
I wonder if there's like any passerbys that fucking hear this and they just like hear these fucking strange groans from inside the fucking car. How about this? Zoe said before starting to fondle his junk in a circular motion, causing Rudolph to groan in pleasure.
She giggled more and decided place her other hoof on his swelled member and use both hooves to pump her buck. Oh, hold on, I gotta reread that. Decided to place her other hoof on his swelled member and use both hooves to pump her buck friend's dick.
Rudolph continued to pant and writhe in pleasure against the wall as his doe friend continued jerking him off, which escalated him 10 times better than doing it himself.
He began bucking hips in an upward motion and began humping her hooves.
Zoe giggled at what he was doing and continued her motion.
30 seconds later, Rudolph was nearing his peak.
Zoe, I'm getting close, he warned.
The doe ignored his warning and began to pump faster. Zoe knew what was about to happen and she wanted Rudolph to release his load on her face.
Right as she began to feel Rudolph tense up, she slowed down her pace and pointed his member directly at her nose.
Oh, what the fuck? Okay,
That's a porn thing.
Rudolph's nose flashed like a strobe light. He began to explode a scene. Like, just look through the door and you
Looks
see
like Rudolph's having another rave tonight. Santa's like, oh shit, this is lost. Check this fucking shit out. Look, reindeers are fucking...
people are like fucking crashing their cars outside because like, oh shit, this...
Zoe closed her eyes and laughed as she felt different warm splashes on her right cheek, the right part of her muzzle, nose, forehead, left eyelid, chin, and neck. Are you getting hard?
I'd say I'm about like 57% hard at this moment.
I'm 40% of the way there.
But the cold is not letting me get any more aroused with this. When the ejaculating buck finished, she opened her right eye and gave Rudolph a job well done smile as she licked the cum-painted side of her muzzle for a taste.
I picture a real life deer though. Like I can't.
Because you know they do that, right? Like they like spin their tongues around, like they lick themselves.
What do you think they are, Scooby-Doo?
No. Maybe I'm thinking of like camels or something.
I think you're thinking of like anything else.
Not a deer.
Definitely not a deer, and not Scooby-Doo looking like what was?
Oh, like that scene where he just like goes.
You taste good, sticky, gooey, and salty. She commented.
You are amazing. Thank you, Zoey, Rudolph said as he tried to catch his breath.
You're more than welcome, Rudolph. That was a fun exercise for me. Zoey replied and gave his left cheek a lick.
We're only going. Well, fuck! Sorry, let me redo that. We're only just getting started. Let me take this intermission to wash up and we'll continue the second half. Zoey spoke in a sly tone as she gave him a wink and stood up to go to the sink and wash her face.
Alright, so last time I remember there was not a chapter 2. I'm pretty sure this was just a one-off. Yeah, it's just a one-off.
I'm gonna leave a review and say I wasn't aroused enough by the end, so you have to go really hard on that.
I got this. Only 40% erect. Period. 40 out of 10. Period. Would.
Wait, what? Would?
I'm gonna go as
Okay, for those of you that didn't know, he just voice to texted the review, and as he was saying, like, it just translated to wood.
Alright, shit, let's call it quits on this.
Yeah, thanks for listening.
Yeah, thank you everybody. Have a good holiday season.
Check me out at Hibbibi on YouTube. Hibbibi, that's Hibbibi.
Yep.
Goodbye. Thanks. That's how.
Fuck! No! Oh my fucking god, my door won't open! Ah, shit! No! No!